Yay! Michael!
Hello, hello, hello.
So excited to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
It's been a minute.
It's been 20 years, I think. It's been a long time.
So basically, for listeners out there, Michael is one of my dearest and extremely young looking, but also oldest in terms of how long we've known each other, friends. And we originally met back in London when I was in my late teens. And
A model?
oh yeah, that's true. I was modeling.
You were modeling at the time, weren't you?
I was. Oh.
And
yeah.
dancing.
And dancing. There
Yeah.
were lots of dancing. The modeling thing is something I've never spoken about in the podcast. So I love that you remember that. That's very cool. So that is how we met. And I actually want to just remind you, I did it just before you came here. We're here in Bangkok today, which is amazing that fate, destiny somehow has we're crossing paths again.
I'm leaving and she just arrived.
I just arrived,
From
you're
PP.
leaving in 45 minutes,
Yeah.
but sometimes you just get lucky and you can capture a moment in time, which is what we decided to do. But going back in time, I think about 24 years ago or something like that, something
Really?
crazy.
Was it that long ago?
I think it's actually that long ago. I mean, obviously you're
I have
only
no
25,
idea.
right? I mean,
I'm 18. What are you talking about?
Right, like when I met Michael, he was a baby. No, so but I do remember. So we have a mutual friend, and she was like, she really liked your brother, and she was like, "Oh, Josie, there's this guy called Michael. You're gonna love him." And I was like, well, I would like to meet him, and she was like, he's a singer, he's this, he's that. And I was like, he sounds really arrogant. And that means he's going to have lots of groupies. And I am not a groupie. So I was like, I'm not sure about it, but I'll meet up anyway. And then we came down, was in a club in London, walked down the stairs, it was super dark. And you're there in this white and black striped t-shirt thing. But then we started talking and I was like, he's actually really nice. I
Yeah.
like this guy. Oh,
I am a nice guy. What can
he's
I
a
say?
really nice guy. And then 24 years on, we're still friends. So it obviously speaks for itself. Anyway, welcome to the podcast, Michael. So nice to have you.
Thank you.
So introduce yourself a little bit to listeners out there. Who are you? What are you passionate about in life? And then we'll do the usual of taking you back in time to how it all started.
I'm passionate about life. Okay, my name is Michael. I am a singer and an actor and also a Reiki master. I've done a world traveler as well. I've been to 47 countries, I think. I'm just about to release an album called We Are Stars on the 8th of February on Spotify, iTunes, all of those channels. So check it out. Michael Koltes. And I was in another band called Hypo Psycho, which is like a ska pop punk band back in the day when we first met. And I had a show. I invited Josephine to come, but she was late and she missed the show. So she never actually saw me perform, even though we've known each other for so long.
Yeah, this is what I just basically, it was like my dirty secret that I just revealed to you when you came today. We were on the roof of the building and I was like, I'm really sorry to tell you, but I didn't actually ever see you perform, but I have listened to many of your songs, and I think you're a really awesome singer, and you're obviously an all-around amazing human being. So, hey, listen, you've got your album coming out now, right? On the 8th of February, maybe 2026 will be the year where I finally see you perform.
I hope
Woo!
so. I hope so. Fingers crossed.
Okay, so we'll take you back in time now. So, as always, I am really interested in how you start out in life, like where were you born, what kind of family system / structures / beliefs were you born into? Because again, I know listeners out there, you know me already, but maybe for Mike, you don't. Like this thing of, nothing happens overnight, right? Like the choices that we make in life, everything that shapes us, every time we said yes and every time we said no, all of those things, we can pretty much be traced back to the very beginning. So I always feel like, there's so much beauty in the details. So tell us, where did you arrive?
I was born in Germany, 1st of January. No, I won't say which year, but I was the first born in that city, actually. I was in the newspapers, and my parents got money for me being born. I was born at 8:30 in the morning, but so I don't know. I think there was somebody born like a few minutes after me, but I was still first. Hello, you know, I'm the firstborn, 1st of January, so there's a lot of firsts. But yeah, I was the first person born,
And you were literally the golden baby. Like you brought not just blessings of love and happiness and life into your family, you literally brought cash. I loved it. So like Mike arrived and he's like, boom.
Yeah, I'm like, hey mom, hey dad, you know, I'm here to bring some good stuff into this life. You know, so I did, like, straight away in the newspapers. What can I say? It was like written from the beginning. I was born to do this, you know, publicity stuff, you know, to be a performer, to be a star, I hope anyway. But, you know, so it was like straight away in the beginning. And, yeah, then my parents, they left Germany when I was 6 months old. We were in the US for a bit, and we were in the Philippines. My parents, they were doing like missionary work for a while as well. They were like very strong Christians. And I kind of started singing at 2 years old. Yeah, we were just talking about this on my Instagram. Yeah, my first show was in a prison, like a minimum security prison, in front of a bunch of convicts. And I was like, hello, I'm here to perform for you. You know, my name is Michael, and I'm going to sing a song for you. So that was the beginning of my music life. And yeah, I did some shows with my brothers and sisters. We were like the Von Trapp family, the Sound of Music, you know, going around and singing around the world. And that's how I started. I think my brothers and sisters really don't like performing anymore. You know, they're not the stage people, but I am. I've kind of stayed on the stage. And I really liked it. I really like singing, and I really like acting and everything. And then when I was 16, I went to Africa, did some humanitarian work for 2 years. But I got malaria a few times and almost died from that. So my mom was like, you're coming home. You're coming home.
Oh my God, I'm just going to pause you for a moment. Wow, there's so much in there, and there's so much I didn't know, so I'm just sitting here loving all of this. I do remember the Africa thing, though, for some reason. This is coming back like a wonderful but random familiar folk. It's like, oh yeah, there was something about you and Africa. I forgot about that.
Yeah, when I was 16, some friends of my parents came through the house to visit, and they were like, oh, we're going to Nigeria. And I was like, can I come? And my parents were like...
Is this possible for me?
Well, you're responsible. And I was like, please, let me go. And then they said yes. And yeah, that took me on a crazy adventure to Nigeria for 2 years. I grew up fast, you know, because it was, I mean, we were starting from scratch when we went there. We went to start like this like humanitarian you know, whole project over there. And yeah, the first few weeks I was staying in this like unfinished house on sleeping on concrete floors on a sheet, and waking up every 2 hours to kill mosquitoes because there was no screens on the windows.
That then ended up almost killing you, just like side note.
The first year though I was in Nigeria, I didn't get malaria once. You know, which is very bizarre because I wasn't on any like, you know, on the medication to prevent it, and all of my friends were, and all of them got it, but I didn't get it for 1 year. And then I came back to Europe to visit my parents, and I got the measles, I think it is. And then when I went back to Nigeria, I literally contracted it right away. Oh, no. You know, so because it weakened my immunity or something. But I was there for a whole year without it.
And I mean, I feel like we could do some, you know what,
this is a sub podcast.
This is it. I feel like this is like episode 1 out of 27,000 of Michael Koltes. Yeah. The Nigeria years.
I have written it. I have written a book, and I haven't published it yet because I'm still putting it together. But yes, I will eventually release it.
I love that. So Capricorn of you. Beautiful. The slow building, but the persistent in the incredible expansion over time. So yes. Beautiful, committed, persistent.
Yes.
And I can't wait to read your book. This is another unknown I didn't know about you.
It's called The Seeker, and it's like I've written like 270 pages already, but you know I I still want to. I think there's more chapters to write, So I'm not closing it yet, So I think I'll let it go a couple more years and then publish it, But yeah.
I love that, Michael. And I think, again, for listeners out there, I think there's something, well, not just think, but there is something so beautiful about a slow growth. It's kind of like making a soup, right? When you're super hungry, soup, when you're super hungry, you just want to eat. But there's something really special about going out, gathering, going to the different markets, finding inspiration, gathering your things, coming home, putting it in the pot. And then there's that point where you have to just leave it, like simmering, right?
Let it brew.
Let it brew, right? Yeah. And I think in this culture, in this day and age, the brewing time.
There's no time for that.
There's no fucking time for brewing time,
Yeah.
right? It's like, and it's funny because so beers companies, they used to call breweries, right? It was brewing, right?
Yeah, it needs time. I mean, wine, beer, they all need years sometimes,
Right, and like good stuff. Mm-hmm. Good stuff takes time to develop, right? Whether it's a skill you have, you talk about the 10,000 hours to get good at anything, right? But there's also like, it's the same thing with love, right? You can have a rush, you can feel an attraction to someone, you can be like super excited, and then it can also die as fast, right? But what, like, love can build over time, and it changes shape, and it changes structure, and it becomes, don't know if it becomes more beautiful, but it becomes more spacious, more layered. So I love this thing, deeper, right? Deeper, but also higher. It's dense. But I love that thing that you said that. So you're writing this book and you've been writing it for a long time, and I love the name, by the way. The Seeker is so beautiful. So just that thing to listeners out there, that whatever you are, passionate about now, whatever you've been building for a while, if you're not getting the results, so to speak, or if it doesn't feel like it's the right time to release it yet, listen to that. And again, if the result is not coming yet, it doesn't mean it's not coming ever. Doesn't mean something isn't for you. Just means that maybe right now you're just still in the stage of simmering, and that's actually a really beautiful stage to be in. Difficult state for the mind at times, but
life is full of experiences, and God knows I've had a lot of experiences. I mean, I felt like I can write like a few books actually, because there's before the band, and there's like my whole acting school band days, which is like crazy, and then there's the whole acting journey, which has been like over 10 years now, and now starting a new chapter, and so we'll see what happens with that. But I'm excited. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm just going for it anyway, and let's just see what sticks, so it's exciting and fun, I think, sometimes, to just go with the flow.
Yeah, I love that. And I also love that thing of like, there's a line from a poem I really love, which says, I've been 1,000 different women, or men in that case, but it's that thing of like, we have, right? But also we have many chapters, and we are many different people, right? Like we really are, whether you're an actor or not, like, and to allow oneself to have all those different experiences, and to even say hello to different parts. There's an aspect of me that's like this, there's another aspect that's like that. That's the beauty, right? That's the tapestry of life, the density, the juice. Going back to you. So you were in Africa, and at some point, so you get this malaria. I'm assuming it's the malaria that decided to go, hey, let's get Mike out of Africa. Or what got you out of Africa?
Well, it was partly that, but I mean, I spent, I'd say, a lot of my teenage years in Africa. Well, like important teenage years, and it was it was fun, but also a little bit lonely, I guess, because I wasn't really around anybody my age, and so I kind of also missed that part of it, like socializing, girls, everything, I was like alone. And so it was partly that, and also the fact that I had lost like 7 kilos from malaria, and so I went back to Europe. I was like, I'm gonna go back and take a break, and let's see what happens. And so I came back to Europe. I gained my weight back. My mom was stuffing me. He was like, you eat this, Michael. You eat this. You eat this. And so, yeah, I gained my weight back. And I went to some, like, some camps and stuff, and had, like, some parties and stuff like that. And I met, at one of these things, I met some people from London. And there was a girl I liked at the time, and she told me, somebody actually, Sarah.
Oh yeah, Mario's.
Yeah.
Oh.
Controversial. No, but yeah, no. Back in the day, this was when I was like 18, and she was like, oh, actually no, it was her friend. I was slightly dating her friend, but I was kind of like torn between. I don't know which one I like more, but but it was kind of complicated.
It's all coming out now, Michael.
It was kind of complicated, but yeah. So it was because of that I actually went going to London, and when I went to London, my brother was like, "Can I come with you?" And so my brother came with me, and I went to 18 to London with 300 pounds in my pocket, and my brother 100 pounds in his pocket, and he borrowed 100 from me. So it was basically like going to London, one of the most expensive cities in the world, with 200 pounds in your pocket. And that was hell of an adventure, I didn't, I grew up in a very sheltered Christian family home, and so it was, going out into the world was very scary.
And also this was, so you just had the whole Nigeria experience, but then you arrive in London. We have to also just a little bit of dates. So like you would have been there around early 2000s or something, like maybe, or even something around that. Yeah. So it's like, it's a very different London to what it is today. It's been majorly
different world compared to it. It's like internet now, right? Just in phones, like that whole thing.
That's it.
The world has changed so much since back then. So I moved to London, and I worked in a bar for a while. I worked in an internet company. I got fired because I said good morning in the group chat. I was like, what? Just because you say good morning in the company group chat, they get pissed off with, and I was like, you know what? I don't want to work in a company that takes life so seriously. And I was happy to leave. And so I left that, I left that company. and then I started working in a bar. And in the bar there was Eddie. Did you ever meet Eddie?
I think I heard of Eddie. So we remember we were introduced by a mutual friend for listeners out there. So we were in a kind of we definitely shared a few friends in common. But I feel like I heard of this Eddie guy, but I don't remember who really.
He was an American actor who was working as security in the club that I worked at, and he was actually the friend of my father that I went to Nigeria with. He used to be an actor in Hollywood. So this is kind of what I guess sparked the idea initially. And like he used to tell me stories of working with like Sharon Stone and studying with Sharon Stone and Ed Harris and all those kind of guys, because he studied with them. And so in my mind I was like, wow, like impressionable 16-year-old going, wow, Hollywood,
yay,
ooh, star, and because I was performing anyway, so it was in me. And actually I moved to London wanting to go to directing school. I had no intention of being an actor. Actually, I wanted to be a director, but I didn't know where to start, and so a friend of mine was like, well, you need money, so maybe why don't you do modeling? So I started going around to all the modeling agencies, and they're like, oh, you're too small, you're too this, you're too
commercial,
you're too commercial,
you're not commercial enough.
Yeah. Oh my God, every random excuse, and I think I didn't really have any pictures, and so somebody suggested I go see this photographer, and this photographer introduced me to an acting agent who was also guesting at an acting school, and he was like, I can take you on as an actor. I didn't really know that much about acting at the time besides what I had heard. But he was like, you should study acting, a little bit. And I was like, but I want to study directing. But he was like, well, if you want to be a director, if you can act, that really helps. So I was like, okay, fine. So I did start acting classes, and I really enjoyed it. And before I know it, I was like, I'm just going to do the course, I ended up, getting a degree in acting 3 years later, and at the end of that, actually towards the end of that, my friend Eddie, he was suggesting I audition for boy bands, and I didn't want to do that. I was like, really? I don't know. I don't really. Okay, I like singing, but I'm not really into this. The music, it doesn't really feel so much like me. But I auditioned anyway. I was like, okay, I'll do something that scares me.
Seemed to be the theme of the day.
Yeah. So I did it, and I got into this band, and as the rapper, You know, and
What?
I was like, yeah, as the rapper. I used to be a
This
rapper.
is another like truth bump I didn't know about. So you got into this band as a rapper, and I also just want to like pause for a moment because again, just common themes that all listeners and we can all relate to as human beings, right? So it's this thing of like, you know, whatever it is you want to do, like you see that mountaintop and you're like, I want that thing, but we have no idea how to get there. But the main thing is you just keep going, you keep trying stuff, right? So it's like you didn't just sit in your house in London and go, oh, I want to be a director, and then not take any chances, not take any, you know, like you spoke to people about it. And even when your friend was like, hey, just go to acting school, and you were like, but that's not what I want, and he's like, no, but you'll have a much bigger chance and you'll have so much more wisdom and knowledge about what it's like to be in front of the camera, so then you'll have the, you know, the proficiency in being the guy behind, like all of that, all of those dots connecting. I just think it's so important, again, for listeners out there, whether you are an artist or not. It's so easy in life to have this thing where we're like, we want this thing, whether it's a new relationship, a new job, a new way to make money, a better relationship with your kids, whatever it is. It's so easy to get so stuck on the roadblocks that we don't even attempt.
Yeah, you have to sometimes just trust the process.
That's it.
You know, and you know, when I read this thing a while back where they're talking about this, where it is like this guy, he wanted to do this, and then, you know, like he had to, if he hadn't done this, he wouldn't have met that person, which was something completely unrelated to what he wanted to do. And then if he hadn't had this accident, he wouldn't have met that person, his wife, or, you know. So it's like sometimes we have to go through some challenges, but actually that's just pushing us into the direction to help us learn the things. Because I think a lot of times we get the thing we want when we're ready for it, you know, and sometimes in order to be ready for it, we have to learn a few things, you know, some skills, some lessons, you know, some different things in life. And also, you know, there's about timing as well, about meeting people and this kind of thing. But a lot of times we just have to actually get better at things, you know. And this is something also I've been taking into consideration. There was a while back when I was learning how to fly a helicopter, and I got a role as a pilot, you know. This was like very random. And there was another one where I was like learning to be a Reiki master, and I got a role as a doctor, you know. And this made me think, you know, like, how is this connected? You know, why am I the things I'm doing in life, why are they reflected in my
outer reality,
in my career, you know, in my jobs? And this got me thinking, you know, what a lot of times what we are creating in our life is what is reflecting in our outer reality, as you called it. So I think this is important to pay attention to what your reality is and to what you're doing in your life. You know, if you want what you want to be doing, you know, are you making steps towards it? Are you believing that it's possible? Are you doing the little things? You know, a lot of times it's a process of, you know, taking one step at a time. You know, like you can't expect to climb a mountain just by one big jump. Sometimes you have to take the one step, climb that rock, you know, go down that hill in order to go up to that part, and then go down that hill in order to go that part, you know. So it's not a straight uphill, it's not a straight climb, you know. There's there's ups and downs along the way, and sometimes you have to just, I guess, be flexible and know that every step that you're taking is helping you prepare you for what you actually want to do.
Yeah, I love that. That's so true. You know, everything you are currently experiencing in life is preparing you for the next aligned experience. And alignment doesn't necessarily mean that it's like rosy and fun and amazing, but it means that it's what is necessary for you at that moment in time. I really love that because it puts everything into perspective in a world that can feel really chaotic, in a life that can feel really overwhelming. And especially if you're finding yourself at a crossroad, maybe you're listening to this and you're like, oh, something doesn't sit well, but I don't know what will, right? So if you're finding yourself in that kind of in-between state, I hope like me and perhaps you as well, you're always feeling like, what is next? Like there's always something new, right? Because there's always something new that is wanting to emerge through us. When you're in that space, it's so important to just go, I'm exactly where I need to be. That doesn't mean I don't take steps forward, but appreciating that whatever you're drawing into your experience. So like you were noticing, hey, okay, you had a desire to do the helicoptering thing. So you were starting to learn that came from a pure desire of, I want to do this.
I want to fly.
I want to fly. I want to, right? So, you want to fly. How amazing is that? So you took action on that. And then when you realize, oh my God, I can fly. Like, I'm actually capable of this, right? Like you said, building through experience, through lived experience, we build confidence within ourselves that this is possible for us.
Yeah.
But also life starts to demonstrate it back to us. Because life, the way I see it at least, the external world is a mirror of your internal world. And something that's really important that you said is we can't bypass any stages, even if we would like to. Like you said, so we look at that mountain, we're like, oh my God, being in that movie where you're a pilot, whatever, like that's the glitzy, that's the good part, that's the carrot. Oh, then I've made it in life, right?
Yeah.
But we can't just go from here, click our fingers, and then we're up here. Not only because, hey, is it possible in our reality? I don't think so. Maybe it is in some people's. But also, you wouldn't have been ready for it. I think that's a really important thing, right? So whatever it is we're experiencing in life is actually preparing us. It's doing the groundworks. It's like being a baby, and as much as you want to learn how to walk, you don't just stand up and like, boo, boo, like, right?
You need the foundation, I think, in order for it to be solid or to last. I think this is important. If you don't have a foundation in a house or whatever, it'll just collapse anyway, so it's the same with anything in life. I think you need to build the foundation, strong roots, and with the tree as well. If the tree didn't have strong roots, it would just fall over.
That's it, and it couldn't actually grow. So it would hinder its own growth.
Exactly.
I loved it. And just one last thing, and then I'll hand you over. But it's so interesting, because if we do it without the process of the becoming, if we try to bypass those steps, like you said, it won't be solid, it won't be lasting, but also it will be performative. We can put on, it's funny because you're an actor, right? We can put on a role. In how many TV commercials was I like the girl who plays basketball? I have never played basketball in my life, but I can perform it for a split second. Could I all of a sudden be like the main basketball girl in a big field court match, something? Absolutely no, right? No one paid money for that, right? So you see, that's the kind of the same thing. It would be performative. Something that is solid. A person you meet that is solid has gone through the necessary steps.
Wax on, wax off. Karate Kid. That you actually have to learn the skills. And I would love to do movies or TV series like Game of Thrones and stuff like that, and this year I was like, what's a necessary skill for that? Horse riding. So, I've been putting that off for too long, and so I decided to actually learn how to ride a horse, and so I'm starting to do that. Yeah.
Mike is wearing this polo shirt, so him on a horse. So again, subliminal messaging, right?
Yeah. Ironically, it's the year of the horse now, and so I'm mastering the horse. Mastering the horse here. Let's make stuff happen.
I love it. Embodying that horsepower. Okay, back to you again. So you're now in London. You completed acting school. Is this when
Became a rapper.
Became a rapper, which I did not know about. Yeah.
That was before I met you.
Okay.
So then we moved to Birmingham.
Oh yeah, that was the Birmingham chapter. Yes.
I was there for a year with my friends, writing and recording, and sorry, I got a bit of a cough.
Do you need something?
Oh.
We'll take a breath here while Mike sorts himself out. Yes.
Yes. So we were writing, recording, and just kind of. We weren't doing that much actually, but in this process, I met the guy who I started the band with. So at some point during this year, I figured, this is not my thing, this is not my genre, but I some friends of ours, they introduced me to rock and punk, and I was like, no, this feels more like me. Actually I started watching Incubus on MTV and stuff like that. Incubus, System of a Down, and Blink-182, Green Day, and all those kind of bands, Nirvana, and I was like, wow, I just saw them going crazy on stage, and I was like, yes, this is more me. And I was watching System of a Down, what is it, Chop Suey, and he's going so crazy on stage, and I was like, wow, he doesn't just so much freedom to do whatever he wants on stage, and it's completely different from being in a boy band. And so I was like, no, okay, this is what I want to do. So I spoke to one of the guys, and I was like, you want to start a band a band like this? And he was like, yeah, why not? And you can come and stay with me in my house in Milton Keynes, and so I went to Milton Keynes, he asked his mom, and I stayed with him for like almost a year in the middle of nowhere.
Oh my God.
In Milton
For
Keynes.
listeners out there, Milton Keynes, I'm sure, like, listen, if you live there now, I'm sure there's a lot more going on, but back in those days, there was not a lot going on. So,
no,
yeah.
but what there was in that area was a lot of like shows. There were a lot of punk band shows and stuff like that. So I got to go and watch other bands, and I got to a point where I started writing songs, learning guitar and writing songs. And at one point I was writing a song a day. I would wake up in the morning and write a song, and then I wrote like Somebody Someday, Stalker Girl, some of those other ones at that time.
What was the one that I really liked? I'm going to give you some water. There was one, it was like a slower song.
Somebody Someday, yeah.
Was that the one?
Yeah, I wrote that in Milton Keynes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's called Somebody Someday.
You're gonna have to play that at some point. But
yeah.
Oh wow! So this is there is a theme that I also want to share here that I just think is so important. You're welcome. I was like, Mike is dying.
I'm still alive.
But as a true performer, you're still going. You're like, my voice is disappearing, Josie, but I shall still project into that part.
I started a tour once, and I couldn't actually talk, and I had to force myself to not look stupid on stage. That was fun.
Oh wow! But I just want, bless you. I just wanted to share this thing of. There's something really potent that stood out to me when you were talking now, which was this thing that you said, so you're trying all these different things here in early days of singing, acting, etc. But you keep saying, this is more me, or like, this is more me. And I think this is something, it's such an existential experience for all of us as human beings, right? Like, we want to find ourselves in the eyes of others. That's also when we feel a connection, right? Like, I see myself in you somehow, right? Or like when you're talking about, you're describing the experiences of watching these bands on stage, and you're like, like this thing of like, I aspire.
Yeah, it's something like inside of you, in your heart,
right.
Or whatever that excites it, and you're just like, ooh, what is this?
Yeah, right.
Ooh, what is this? My heart is excited. Okay, there must be something in this for me. There's something about this that is exciting me inside.
Right, and I love that so much. And it's this thing of like, again, like this is just experiencing a physical experience of feeling alive, because we can live but not be alive. We can live but be half dead inside.
Mm-hmm.
And so this thing that you keep saying, like, oh, my heart is saying this, my heart is talking to me, my body is talking to me, like, this is so juicy. Like, in everyday life, like, if you have this, like, it can be something as silly as like, or not as silly, but seemingly unimportantly, as going, I really like daffodils, I need to engage with daffodils today. Like, whatever it is that makes you feel alive, your heart beats a little faster, there's an excitement, or that thing I'm gonna try and speak here, those words you use, this is more me. Like, on the deepest level, we all want to not only belong to a group, a world, a family, whatever, we want to belong to ourselves. And that sense of true self is always changing, right? But that thing of, this is me. Like, it's almost like putting on a jacket, and you're like, it really fits.
Yeah.
I think it's really, really gorgeous. Okay, so anyway, there you are in Milton Keynes. Yeah.
Yeah, Milton Keynes. I was just writing songs.
Oh, yeah, the song a day. That was cool.
Yeah, a song a day, and then I got it up to like 2 songs a day. Of course, most of them were crap, but out of it, I got a few good songs. And one day, my friend is he comes and he's telling me, oh, my mom met a music manager. He was having lunch with his band he signed or whatever, and she went up and talked to him, and he was like, hey, my son's in a band, or starting a band, you should hear him. And he was like, okay, here's my card, come down to my office. And so we collected our favorite songs, we rehearsed them, and we went down to their office, number 1 Star Street, which I thought was like an amazing name.
Oh my God, I love it.
An address. I was like, this is the best address in London.
Number 1.
Number 1
Again,
Star Street.
yeah, number 1.
Yeah, number 1. So I knew this was, there was something in it, in this experience. And so I walked in, and the owner it was like a publishing house, basically. It was, Believe Snapper Music. Brian Morrison Publishing. And so Brian Morrison, which is, he's, rest in peace, he passed away. But he was like an awesome character. He was self-made man, and he's sitting there in his office smoking these big fat Cuban cigar, and he's like, "Come sit down." And so we sat down, and he's like, "Tell me, tell me about yourselves." And we started talking to him, and he was like so enthusiastic, and he was like, "I love these guys. I love these guys." And then he had to go for a meeting, but like we made an impression with him and stuff. And so we met this manager and his Brian Morrison's son, and we sang the songs for them. And they were like, "We can do something with this. Do you have a band?" And we were like, "Well, there's just the two of us at the moment." And they were like, "Well,
but it's a group."
Yeah,
Jules company.
we got to put a band together. And so, do you know anybody? And so, my friend knew a couple of musicians, and so we got them, and we all got together and rehearsed. And we didn't have a bass player, but so we auditioned for bass player, and we got together. We rehearsed some of the songs, and then they introduced us to a new manager who was part of them, and his name was John McLaughlin. And he had some success with some pop punk bands, and he liked us, and he was like, "I can do something with you. Let's go into the studio." And we recorded 2 tracks, Bored and Here, There, Anywhere. And and from, they showed it to Brian Morrison, and he was like, "Great, I love it. I'd love to publish you guys." But the managers wanted us to be like, I guess, we were shopping to like BMG and RCA and like the bigger record companies at the time. So we slowly started building more songs, recording more songs, getting better as a band, as a unit. But at this time also there was a big change from hard copy music to online music. This is I think when online music started, iTunes and all that were starting and stuff like that. So the music industry was a very unclear. People didn't really know which way everything was going, and so the labels were a lot more like cautious about signing anything. So Brian Morrison was like, "I don't care, I'll sign you guys." So he signed us, which was so cool. Like he's like a godfather to me. I love Brian Morrison and his family. I used to go and stay with them on the weekends. They have this great old money house and horses, a polo club and stuff. And Karina and Jamie Morrison are still good friends of mine. I'm still good friends with them. Actually, I spoke to them a few days ago. Next time I go to London, I have to go visit them. Anyway,
on horseback to really keep in theme with your learning to ride horses.
Yes. I think this is also one reason why I love horses so much, because it reminds me of this time of my life, and sometimes when you look back and, these things are nostalgic, and it's kind of the sparks that give you the momentum and the energy to keep going, and chase your dreams. And I guess his outlook as well on, anything is possible, you guys are stars, and, and all that kind of motivational. Well, he believed it, in his eyes we were. And so, he worked with Pink Floyd and The Jam and even the Spice Girls and Wham, George Michael. They signed with him as a publishing company and stuff. So it's not like he was, no experience or anything. He actually had been in the industry for a while. And so we were signed with him, and then we were up in Scotland recording an album, and we were on tour. We were doing 3 shows a day, playing for schools during the day, high schools, which is crazy, actually, quite fun, because all the high school kids would be sitting down on their chairs, and we were like, we're going to get them up. We're going to get them up. We were like rebels. And so, there would be, we would target the one kid who looked like they wanted to get up, and we were like, come up, get up, and then they would, and eventually we'd start a mosh pit in the school, and we did that with almost every school, and the teachers were pissed off and hated us for that, but the kids loved it. When it came to sign autographs and stuff like that, there was always a line of hundreds of people for that, and
I love it.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was so much fun. And then we would do radio shows in the afternoon, and then at night we would have a concert. It was so much fun those days. It was around that time that I met you. and then we did like a arena tour as well. We were like basically doing a show, playing for like 6,000 or 8,000 people, and then travel one day and then do a show the next day. And we did like a few weeks of that. That was an amazing experience. We went up to like the Shetland Islands and Orkney Islands. That was some crazy experiences.
Amazing. Wow. Okay, so I'm loving this, and I'm loving how I can hear you're so excited, which is just so beautiful to like you literally just stepped back in time, and I was there even though I wasn't there with you, but just like you pulled us all in so much to that office with your friend there and his big cigar and then his mansion house, and the whole time I could really feel it, and being on stage and getting the kids moving all over that. But because of time,
yes,
we're gonna like scoop.
I got a flight to catch.
So we're gonna scoop you forward in time.
Okay.
And so at this point, so you're here having an amazing career. I meet you through a mutual friend, and then at this point you start getting more and more into acting.
Yes.
We're not gonna go into it massively, but you go into acting, and then you have quite a long time in London acting and singing, performing. You and I do a few jobs together, actually. I remember we did a few little things here and there, a few TV commercials or something.
Mm-hmm.
And at some point, this is the pivotal point. I remember you were like, Josie, let's meet up. I have something I want to tell you. So we meet up in this little coffee shop down in Camden, actually between halfway, very strategic place, halfway between where I live, which was Belsize Park, and where you live, which was Kentish Town. And we meet in this little coffee shop right next to the tube train station. And you're like, I'm leaving.
No. No, I'm kidding. No.
Oh, okay.
That's a whole other...
Yeah.
Okay, no.
Michael is like, I'm finding, I would like to introduce you to Michaela. No, so you're not a girl. And but you were leaving though.
Yes.
So this is the pivotal part. I remember you were going, I'm leaving, and it was really interesting for me as a friend because I had no idea. So tell us a little bit about what, because again, I just think these are the juicy point, the pivotal point in life, right? Especially few years leading up to that pivotal moment, because everything is always brewing. We're always becoming. So it never comes out of nothing. So just give us like a few little phrases of what made you decide, and also everything I know about you, it takes you do your research. You're not a superficial guy. You do your research in a move away from London, which was once your dream, would have been, carefully thought and felt into. So tell us a little bit about what made you decide, like what brought you to the final decision of I'm leaving and this is where I'm going.
Well, okay, so I've been acting for a few years, and I was doing like doubling for Johnny Depp at the time, in like Dark Shadows and Alice in Wonderland. And...
I was in Dark Shadows.
Really?
Oh my god, this is hilarious. So this is another thing we didn't know. I was obviously not doubling for Johnny Depp, but I met him because I was one of the go-go dancers. Oh. So here's another fun fact.
Crazy.
See, who would have known? Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I was doubling for Johnny Depp as well, and I'd worked in like with crew, and I was helping with like casting for like Rogue One and Mission Impossible and stuff like that. So I was kind of doing a lot of stuff in there, but still like I don't know. I was going through like a difficult time, I guess, because I used to smoke a lot of weed, back in my band days, as you do. You're in a rock and roll band, what can I say? Then I got a lead part in a TV series in the Philippines, and there was a lot of pressure, and I was trying to get off the weed because they didn't have any, and it kind of like really threw my world upside down, and I was like struggling to sleep and stuff, and I started getting a little bit like anxiety and depressed, and it was kind of going in cycles, and I just was like, okay, I got to do something different, but I don't know what. And then one day my dentist called me in and said, happy 10th anniversary. And I was like, what? I've been in this house for 10 years and I only intended to stay here for like 6 months. And I was like, okay, I have to do something. And so 2 weeks later, I left. Literally, I left London. I packed up the house, threw almost everything away that, I didn't need. That I basically brought everything into like 2 suitcases. And I called my mom in Turkey, and I was like, Mom, can I stay with you for a bit and sort my mind out? And she was like, yes, come to me. So I went to Turkey to stay with my mom for a bit and get away from London. I basically took a year to travel. I went to Turkey, and then also I had some friends in Cambodia. I went to Cambodia for several months and helped build a dragon. You know, we built this dragon in a bar. It was pretty crazy.
That's so fun.
As you do, another crazy experience. Yeah, I did that. And then I went to Japan. I did a movie in Japan, playing like an undercover agent, a motorbike racer undercover agent, which was also an interesting experience. And I went to back to the Philippines for another pilot of something. But at this time, I was just moving around, wandering around, and trying to figure out like, okay, what makes me happy? You know, what do I actually want in life? And because like, you know, when I started out, I thought I knew exactly what I wanted to do, you know, and don't get me wrong, there was a lot of great experiences, and there were so many times both in acting and singing that I just, you know, had so much fun and had so many like unforgettable experiences. And there were many times when I was like, yes, this is what I want to do. You know, when you get in front of a crowd of 40,000 people and people have your banners up and singing your songs, you're like, yes, you know, this is amazing. So there were many of those moments, but I think in everybody's life, you know, depending, you know, whoever you are, there is a point in your life when you're just like, you're checking in with yourself and going, is this what I wanted from life? You know, what have I not achieved? Am I happy? You know, and what do I want for the rest of this time? You know, and at that point, I just had to go and travel, and I had to go and travel and experience life, and try to feel into what was real and what made me happy or what excited me. Like, because like before, as I said, you know, like I kind of followed my heart with a lot of things, and my heart was a bit sad at that time, and you know, I was looking for like what was the excitement, you know, what was pulling my heart, you know, and at that time there wasn't much, you know, so I was just traveling around, you know, and then eventually I started getting, you know, like let's say I went through a lot of insomnia for a while, for like almost 2 years, and then I didn't know what I was going to do, and I was like, okay. The first, I went to China to visit my dad because my dad was living in China for a long time, and then I went to see my friend Olivier in Shanghai, the director that I directed, that I shot Kite and The Passport with, and we decided just to write and shoot a movie within 2 weeks, and we did, and actually that movie won a lot of awards. It's called The Passport, and then I went back to Turkey, and I was wondering what I was going to do with my life. And I was like, okay, the first place that gives me 3 come here invitations is the place I'm going to go to. And then my dad was like, why don't you come here? And then my friend in Shanghai was like, you know, why don't you come here? You can stay with me. And then there was an actress that I had met as well that was like, you should really come here. So I was like, okay, 3 invitations to China. I guess it's China. So I went to China, and I've been there now for like since 2017. I've been there for a long time. Yeah. So, and you know, the first year, I guess I was sorting myself out still. You know, just sort of picking myself back up and getting to know the country and culture, because it's vastly different to England. And you know, and then I kind of settled there and started getting booked a lot of jobs and stuff, and then COVID came and everything stopped again, you know, and then I had to go and sit with myself. And I started dating somebody in 2019, and I thought like, okay, this is a one. And then we got separated by COVID. Like, it's more complicated than that. Some things happened and stuff as well. And then I just started questioning, okay, why do we do things we do? Like, why do we react the way we do? You know, like, what is the reason for it? You know, what are these, like, strong emotions? Are they triggers? What are they? How do they come? You know, and so I started researching this. You know, like, we were, I guess, staying in our house for several months and during the beginning of COVID. And so I was watching tons of YouTube videos about energy and manifestation and The Secret and, you know, triggers and all this kind of stuff. learning about that, because it's something that, I mean, I had maybe subconsciously knew some of it, but I think I wanted to learn how to control myself better and to understand why I act certain ways and why I react to things certain ways, so yeah, I started learning a lot about that. And then when we started being able to go out different places, I got booked as the co-lead on a movie, and I started dating the actress, my co-lead, and yeah, we had a good time. But then there came a point where I got invited to like join her on set, and I barely saw her for the whole time I was there, and it pissed me off. And then I was getting all these triggers again, and somebody had told me like a few weeks before that, they were like, crystals absorb your energy, and you lose or you break one, it's because it absorbed your energy, or your time with it is done, whatever. And I thought, wow, whatever, but I was at this like I was working with this charity called Make-A-Wish Foundation. It's about giving dying children their last wish, at least.
I love that foundation. I was actually looking at it just a few weeks ago.
Yeah, I was working with them in Shanghai quite a bit, and I'd done some paintings for them because I'm also like a painter sometimes, and I gave them some paintings for auction. Anyway, they had this event, and there was this woman selling crystals, and I bought this crystal, this like big pink rose quartz crystal, and I was holding it the time when I was on the film. I brought it with me on this film set, and there were like, for 3 days I almost didn't see this girl who I was supposed to be dating, and I was like, why am I here? I felt like I was just wasting my time. So I was like, you know what, I'm leaving. And I was like really pissed off, and again this like trigger was arising in me, and all of a sudden, snap, this crystal snapped in my hand, and I was like, what the hell? This big crystal like that just cracked in two, and this kind of woke me up, and it almost like it took this like frustration and anger feeling out of me and put it right in front of me. And I was looking at it, observing it from a third person point of view, and I was like, what is this? Why do I have this? Why is it affecting me? And I was like, I don't need to be pissed off with her. It's just, I guess we had a good time, and it's not the time for it anymore, And I was like, okay, like, good luck with your shoot. I'll talk to you some other time. All the best. I'm going back to London. I'm sorry, not London, going back to Shanghai. And so I did, and then when I got back to Shanghai, I started like getting interested in Reiki and stuff like that. I had like a Reiki session, and I didn't feel anything, but the next day I felt great. And then so I wanted to try it again, and the next time I felt like all these like weird sensations, like things stretching in my body, getting hot and all that kind of thing. And I was like, wow, you can actually do something with this. And so I took the course, and and slowly but surely I became a master in Reiki. And I feel like this really helped me a lot in life. It helped me look so young. But it helped me help a lot of people as well, but also
doing your Reiki pot every morning, Mike.
Yeah, I just like recharge myself in the morning. And I think a lot of times when I'm stressed out or not feeling well, I can just like give Reiki to myself, just go like this, and it helps. It's helped me a lot, and so this slowly like changed my life. And then I started learning about other things like earth healing and all these other things, just to not just help myself but help other people, and also do something for the world as well. So besides music and acting, I'm also doing these other things, and yeah, it was through these difficult times or these breakups, I think, that sort of catapulted me into discovering more about myself, or discovering things like Reiki, and what is energy, and how does it help or affect us, and so it was difficult at the time with these breakups, but it taught me a lot, and it sort of set me on a course for becoming, I guess, a better person, and learning a lot about myself and life in general.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing all of this. It's really super powerful, really powerful, and that thing with your crystal breaking, and then like you had the pain in front of you, like, you know, that was really vivid, very beautiful. And I also think it's this thing of, you know, I'm just gonna cross-reference here. I think we have a common theme in our lives, even though our life has been different. That we've had many parallels, but I think like at least what I'm feeling is this, and I think all human beings have this, whether you're a performer or not. It's this like deep desire to know who you are and to feel like your life has purpose. And so this thing of like, you know, am I supposed to go here? Am I supposed to live here? Am I supposed to be this thing? Am I supposed to be, should I be singing more? Should I be acting more? For me, should I be dancing more? Like whatever it is. And to then at some point, you know, just reach a place within ourselves. And that doesn't mean we don't do all these things, because these are avenues, they're tools and skills, and you have to go. Yeah, but just quickly wrapping it up into that thing of like, we do all these things in the outer world all the way along, just to realize that we are the one we've been waiting for.
Yeah.
And we've always been there with us.
We have everything we need is within us, you know. We spend a life trying to figure that out, you know. And sometimes you need little snaps of crystals, or, you know, a telephone call from your dentist to wake you up.
I love that. To wrap it up here, because I know you've got your amazing
I got a
flight. You got to fly. Final words. I asked you before, I'll ask you again. If you had just one soul message for humanity, with the wisdom you sit in today, the identity of the Michael that you have become aware of and that you are in touch with on this day, 24th of January 2026, year of the amazing fire horse, what would be your one message?
Don't waste your time. Do what you love and believe that it's possible, you know, and just, I guess, go with the flow and, you know, surrender the outcomes. I think this is something that like a celebrity friend of mine actually told me. She surrenders every morning, you know, and this always stuck with me, you know. It's like, I think in life we wake up with so many expectations of what we want for that day, but actually a lot of times we're just blocking things for ourselves, you know. Sometimes we just need to wake up and go, I surrender, you know. I am open to whatever good things come my way, and if there is a challenge, you know, I've been through so many challenges already, I will survive and I will be better for it, you know. So I think if I were to say anything, that's what I would say.
I love that. Thank you so much, Michael. So good to see you. We'll put all of your dates for your amazing songs, music,
Yes.
all of that in the show notes downstairs. But thanking you. Yay!
Thank
We're
you.
having a hug on the podcast. In case you can't see us, but just was the sound of a hug.
Hug.
Have an amazing day. Thank you so
Thank you.
much. Oh, okay. I'm gonna do it this way. Yes. Whoop. And let's